All right, so we've been working on reclaiming our power. We've gone through breaking free from fear. We've gone through setting bold boundaries. Today, we're going to talk about rediscovering your self-worth, letting go of old stories, celebrating small wins, that kind of stuff. So let's start off with the first thing, and that is letting go of old stories. The whole reason I started this YouTube channel, the reason why I'm working on my podcast and doing that kind of stuff is because I'm working on rewriting my story. What it is that I leave behind, what it is that I'm building for my future, what is it that I tell myself about what my life looks like. I can take all the past traumas and all the difficulties and the failures and mistakes that I've made in the past, and I can use those to my benefit by using those as strengths, as reasons for moving forward, or I can take them and use them as excuses, as reasons why I can never create businesses because I fail at them all the time, or why I can't have a successful relationship because I was divorced, or I can't whatever. If we are not taking the time to take a look at our stories and rewriting them, and we can rewrite them, if we're telling ourselves and rehashing that same old story in our mind, here's a perfect example. You're driving to work or you're driving anywhere and you get cut off by somebody and you're pissed off, you flip them off, you call them all the names in the book, you get to wherever it is you're going to, and you tell the person that you got there all about this person that cut you off and how horrible it was and how it just ruined your entire day. And you get home and you tell somebody else that story, and you go to bed at night and you're thinking about this person. You're reinforcing that negative story in your mind. And your mind doesn't know the difference between reality and imagination. It has no clue. So why not rewrite that story in your mind and in reinforcement in yourself in a positive light? Instead of telling everybody how this was horrible and you had this person cut you off and just completely ruined your day, maybe that person was on their way to the hospital. Maybe that person just lost somebody and is completely out of their mind with grief. You don't know what's going on with that person. You creating this story around that negative incident and then perpetuating that story does nothing more than bring that negative energy into you and kind of tear you down. So instead, let's build up. Let's reinforce positive stories and let's create more positive stories in our world and in our life. Let's reinforce and recreate stories that give us more self-worth and more self-empowerment and more self-confidence instead of using those negative things to tear us down. I could use the story of Roy getting colon cancer 2 times to say that our lives are terrible, things always happen, yada yada. I don't even want to say it out loud because I don't want to reinforce that kind of negativity in my life. So when I talk about it, I talk about the things that we've learned, things that we've changed in our life, the way that our lives have improved. Yes, it was a very difficult time. When you're in the midst of the shit, it's very hard to try and find the good things. And it's very hard to rewrite the story when you're in the middle of that stuff. But it is possible if you're assessing that story and you're letting go of the parts of that story that do not serve you. Release that less than, that everybody else is better, or everybody else has a better story, or everybody else is doing better off than we are, more successful, prettier, more money, whatever, bigger house, bigger car, keeping up with the Joneses kind of thing is complete and utter bullshit. That's one thing I'm frustrated about, is that so many people on social media are comparing what they have now with somebody who's been working for who knows how long to get things in their life, to be successful in their life. There is no overnight success. So we see somebody with the fancy car and the fancy car house. We're like, oh my gosh, we want to be like them and we want to have it tomorrow. That story doesn't work. It's not feasible. It's not feasible in a multitude of ways. So when you're writing your story, make sure it's something that's empowering to you, something that's encouraging, something that lifts you up. And then celebrate. I talk about this all the time, about celebrating your small wins. If you got caught up by somebody, and instead of repeating the story of this horrible thing that happened to you, you decide that you want to let it go, you want to talk about something else, you want to reinforce another story that's going on, a better story, celebrate the win that you recognized that you didn't want to do that you didn't want to rehash this negative story. Even if you start the story and then you remember, you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't want to talk about this. Let's talk about something else. Celebrate that win that you remembered and you acknowledged that you didn't want to do it, even after you've already started. Even if you go through the entire story and then you realize that you didn't want to talk about it, you start talking about something else, celebrate the win that you acknowledged that you did that action, so that next time when you start it, you'll catch it a lot quicker. So what will you do to reward yourself? It may be something small. Pat on the back. Oh my gosh. I remembered to stop the story. I remembered to think more positively and to reframe that story in a more positive light. Celebrate that win. The next thing, most importantly, is speak kindly to yourself. Be more compassionate to yourself. Don't allow yourself to beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up because you forgot that you didn't want to tell that story. Don't beat yourself up and tell, oh my gosh, I'm so stupid. I'm horrible. I can't believe I caught up in that again. Be compassionate. It's all a learning process. It takes time. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fall back into that old story. But each time you catch yourself, and each time you take those small steps forward, encourage yourself. Oh, great. I remembered to do that this time. Good job, Tammy. Yeah, I told Sadie she can go sit in the corner and she's not going to bug you for the rest of the day. Good job, Tammy. You made a point of listening to your intuition. Good job. You did something that moved you forward in a positive way. Speak kindly to yourself. We're going to talk more about that at a later time, too. The next thing is surround yourself with positivity, uplifting people, environments. If you're surrounded by people who constantly drag you down, who compare themselves to you to other people, who are saying mean and horrible things to you, even if it's an underhanded kind of, what do they call it, passive-aggressive way, these are not people that you want in your life. These are not people that are going to benefit you. You want to surround yourself with people who lift you up, who teach you things, who encourage you to be more of the person that you can be. Not bring you back and drag you down every time you take a step forward. They're like, oh, no. You're not going to succeed. Things are not going to work out. Oh, I can't believe you're actually thinking about doing that. These are not the people that you want in your life. These are not the people or environments that are conducive to your growth. Let them go. The right people will show up. So many people get upset. Well, I've been friends with this person since elementary school. I don't know. I don't have anybody like that. Closest thing I have is Roy. And I've known him for a very long time. But we also weren't together for a very long time. I remember him from middle school. But we weren't friends that whole time. We didn't get together until, 15, 20 years ago. So those people that you've known for a long time, if they're good friends, keep them. Oh my gosh. Encourage each other. Build each other up. Share these videos and say, hey, let's do these together. Let's do these things to rewrite our story together. If there are people who tear you down, who say negative shit to you, who do nothing but fuck with your life and bring all kinds of trauma and drama into your life, let them go. The right people will show up. And as you grow, those people will change. Because if you're at this level and you want to be at this level, the people who are at this level are going to keep you there. You can only bring them up so much. Positive energy will always bring up the negative, but only so much. So you've got to remember, if you're the top of the happiness and the joy and prosperity, and everybody else is down here. No offense to them, but they can make a choice to change their lives as well and come along with you or not. And that's on them. It has nothing to do with you. You can make the choice for your life, but you can't make the choice for somebody else's. Understand that you can encourage them and you can make suggestions, but if they don't want to change and come up with you, then just limit your time with them. Keep all the positive stuff and everything, just keep on moving on with your life, and eventually those people will fall away. They'll realize that they're going to keep moving in their direction, and it's not in the same direction that you're going. So you can eliminate or limit your time with those people. The next thing is taking aligned action. Do the things that honor your true self. Aligned action is doing things that feel good to you, that build you up, that expand your horizons, that educate you, that empower you. These are things that make you a better person. These are the things that are what cause you to grow. Sometimes it doesn't feel good. Sometimes that growth is a little bit painful. Sometimes it's a lot painful. But if you're aligned and you know where you're headed and you know what your story you want your story to be, then any action that you take is going to be taking you closer to that action. If you don't know where you're going and you don't know what your story is or what you want your story to look like, then you're kind of drifting through life. And I completely understand that. I've done that for so long. Now, as funny as I get older, obviously I've got a lifetime of experience of so many different things that I've tried that I decided I didn't like or didn't want to do or just didn't work out. But I'm getting clearer and clearer every single day on what my story is and rewriting it every day, whether it's mentally or physically writing it down. I write my story down quite often because it changes. Roy and I shift. We change directions a little bit, or we decide we're going to be doing more of this and less of that. What is it that is moving you in the right direction? If you're taking an action that takes you away from where you want to go, obviously that's not the right action. That's not aligned. That's not in correspondence with what you want to be doing. If somebody is asking you to do something for them and it doesn't feel like, okay, this is not something that's going to move me forward in a positive way, then don't do it. And go back to reclaiming your power and setting those boundaries and saying, no, thank you, not right now. Or no, thank you, not ever. Whatever it is. Now, some action steps that you can take. My favorite, journaling. Journal a time that you were proud of yourself and why. What did you do? We all have something, regardless of how small it may be. We all have something that we have done, or we've accomplished, or we've achieved that we're proud of. What is it that you did? Why were you proud of yourself? For me, a lot of times the things that I feel proud of for myself is that I am changing the way that I talk to myself. It's so doing and changing the way that I speak to myself, I speak to those around me in a much kinder way. I can't change them, but I can change me. And that's one thing that I'm very proud of because I make a point of constantly growing. I am a work in progress. I will continue to always be a work in progress. We are never 100% perfect, never 100% complete in our growth. Every time we make a step, every time we hit a plateau, we move up a little bit more. So that's something that you can be proud of. Today, I remembered to not repeat that story of somebody cutting me off in traffic. Why am I proud of myself? Because I didn't repeat that story. I changed that story to whatever it is that you change the story to. So journal about that. Write it down. Because then you can go back when you've had a bad day or you've had a day where just everything went awry. You can go back and look at all these things that you've done that you're proud of and reinforce that self-worth in yourself. Okay? The next thing is write a list of your strengths. I have a big problem with this with myself because things that I consider strengths, I have a hard time admitting to myself that I'm good at things. That's an old belief that I'm constantly working through and working on breaking down and reframing. But people call me charismatic and pretty and well spoken, all of these things. I have to thank you. Just say thank you. Because so many times in the past, I used to deflect those compliments and not admit to myself that I had these strengths, that I had these things that I am really good at. So make a list of the things that you're good at, make a list of the things that are your strengths, and then put it up someplace that you'll see it, someplace that is visible for you to be able to remember. Oh yeah, I am good at that. I'm good at whatever, taking care of my kids. I'm good at cooking pot pie, whatever it may be. Start off with the small things. It doesn't have to be this huge astronomical thing that my strengths are changing the world. No, they can be small things to begin with. And as they grow, add them to your list, whatever it may be. You know, strength may be I pay attention to how I speak to myself and I change those thoughts. So write a list, keep it visible. The next thing is you want to replace the negative self-talk habit with positive self-talk. This, again, can be very difficult, especially if you're not paying attention. And that's the biggest tip I can give you is to pay attention. Pay attention to what you're thinking. Pay attention to what you're saying to yourself. There's so many times we get caught up in our day and we don't even realize that we're talking shit to ourselves. But if we actually thought about what we're saying to ourselves and considered whether we would say those things to someone else that we love, 9 times out of 10, actually probably 100 times out of 100, those are not things that you would say to anybody else. Why say them to yourself? Oh, I'm a piece of shit. I can't believe I can do this. I'm not enough. It's never going to work out. I can't believe I could actually imagine me owning a successful business. It just is not possible. Oh my gosh. I can't believe that that I'm not lovable. Nobody would care enough to have me as a partner. Oh my gosh, innumerable negative things that we say to ourselves. Pay attention to those things. Write them down so that you can see how it is that you speak to yourself, and then take those and reframe them into positive things. Again, make this list visible. Out of sight, out of mind. You don't realize and you forget that you're talking shit to yourself when you should be saying positive, loving things to yourself. The next thing is seek new experiences each month that excite you or challenge you to be better. And these could be small things. So it could be something as simple as if you're not comfortable with speaking to people, saying hi to somebody on the street. If you are looking to build a business, then do some research on it. Do things that excite you. Do things that challenge you just a little bit to build that self-worth, to build that, yes, I can do this. It doesn't have to be massive. If you've got this big grand idea in your head, well, then break it down into smaller pieces and then start with those small things. Start doing those small actions, those small challenges that you can instill into your day to be able to move you forward. If you're not creating experiences in your life that allow you to build your self-worth because you're holding yourself back, then you're not going to grow. You're not going to be able to change that story. So the last thing is spend 30 minutes a week, and it could be 10 minutes a day for 3 days, or break it up Monday, Wednesday, Friday, decluttering your physical space, decluttering your mental space. When you want to improve and bring in more positivity, build your self-worth, build your self-confidence, if you don't make room for those things to come into your life by decluttering your mental space, by eliminating those negative thoughts, by decluttering your physical space and creating a nice visual space for you to be comfortable in, you're not going to have the room for that growth, that self-worth, that self-confidence to come in, because you're all caught up in all of this other stuff. You've got too many things going on in your head. You've got too much going on in your environment. There's no room. There's no room for anything good to come in. So for your mental decluttering, my favorite is doing a brain dump. Is everything that's on your mind, whether it's lists, grocery stores, I've got to go to the shopping, I've got to get groceries, I've got to take the kids to school, I've got daycare, I've got sports they've got to go to, I've got things like laundry, whatever it is that's on your mind, write it down. Write it in a notebook that you keep someplace, again, that's visible, that you can go back to. Once you've got those things out of your mind, your brain can release and start focusing on better and bigger things. Brings in great ideas, allows for that positive self-worth talk to get a little bit louder. If you've got all the shit that you tell yourself written down and out of your head, then you can go back and rewrite it. So the brain dump is the best thing ever. When it comes to decluttering your physical, things that you haven't used in a long time, donate. Give them to somebody who would actually use them. If you keep your papers and you've got stacks of papers, this is Roy's mom is like a paper hog, hoarder when it comes to paper. She had receipts. We're going through her stuff, and she had receipts from 1989. Why? Eliminate that stuff. You don't need to keep it. For tax purposes, check with your accountant and see, okay, I've got to keep my records for 7 years. Do they have to be physical, or can I get them digitized and put them on the cloud? Put them in 3 different places, the cloud, and 2 different external hard drives. Keep this stuff. If you've got papers that kids' drawings, take pictures of them. That way you'll have the remembrance of it, but you don't have to have the physical thing cluttering up your space. There are so many different things that you can do to be able to eliminate crap. If you haven't worn a particular item in 6 months, and it's not a seasonal item, donate it to somebody who would appreciate it more. Eliminate the things that no longer serve you. Keep the things that are memorable, bring you joy. Marie Kondo's, oh gosh, I can't remember the name of it. Marie Kondo's book about decluttering your life. That's not the name of it. I can't remember what it is. I'll include it in the description. But her book is a great book about going through and keeping the things that bring you joy and eliminating the things that don't. If you've got a picture or something from a family member that you've kept forever, you can't stand it, but the only reason you keep it is because a family member gave it to you and you're supposed to keep it forever. No, you don't. You can get rid of it. You're allowed. Trust me. You're allowed. So let's go back. Releasing old stories, celebrating those small wins, speaking kindly to yourself, so key, surrounding yourself with positive people and positive environments, and then taking aligned action. All right. And your 5 action steps are journaling, the time that you were proud and why you were proud of yourself, writing that list of strengths, keeping it visible, replacing those negative self-talk with positive self-talk, and again, keeping that visible, seeking out new experiences each month and challenges, seeking out new experiences each month that excite you or challenge you, and then 30 minutes of decluttering each week. And I said, you can break it up in 10 minutes. The 10 minutes, you can go through and work on your desk, and then the next 10 minutes, work on something else, and then go back. You don't have to do the same entire space. If that's what you want to do, then do that. But 30 minutes a week, 10-minute increments is not that long. You set yourself a timer. Clear that mental and physical space and make room for the self-worth to come in. All right? Don't forget to live life adventurously, guys. It's the only way to live. Talk to you later. Bye. Oh, tomorrow we're going to talk about the power of intuition. All right. Bye.